While grinding some ranked matches with my buddy from the department, he joked about setting me up with his gorgeous older sister. I brushed it off, figuring there was no way that kind of luck would ever fall into my lap. The next time I saw his beautiful sister was at our professor's house. It was only then that I realized she, like me, was our other professor's first and most senior doctoral student. A long time later, I became that buddy's brother-in-law and discovered a well-kept secret. Our two professors, who happened to be married to each other, had been scheming from the very beginning to set up their respective star students. Oh crap, I think I walked right into a trap. A honeypot trap. It was the weekend, right before the end of the gaming season, so Ryan had invited me over to his place to do OQ. Staring at a screen full of victory banners, he stretched, pulling a cigarette from the pack on his desk and lighting it. He blew out a cloud of smoke and turned to me. Leo, man, I remember you saying you've never really dated anyone, right? I was busy analyzing my lane performance from the last match. 24 years, single since birth, I said without looking up. You got a cute freshman you want to introduce me to? Ryan shook his head. No cute freshman, sorry. But I do have a sister. He paused for effect. She's never been in a relationship either. How about I introduce you to? She's gorgeous, pale skin, beautiful long legs, the whole package. I took a tactical swig of my energy drink and gave a non-committal reply. Maybe some other time. Season's about to end, and I gotta get you to diamond rank first. Seeing me change the subject, Ryan forcefully stubbed out his cigarette. Dude, don't dismiss it like that, he said, annoyed. My sister is genuinely stunning. Her only problem is she's too tall, which makes it hard for her to find a guy. I've known Ryan for over half a year, and we gamed together all the time. Once we got close, he started joking constantly about me becoming his brother-in-law. One time, I jokingly asked him to send me a picture of his sister. He immediately sent me a dozen photos. The woman in the pictures, wearing a short skirt, had delicate features. Her naturally fair skin looked flawless under the sunlight, and a pair of black tights hugged her slender, well-proportioned legs. I didn't take it seriously. I was convinced he was just messing with me, that he'd pulled the photos from the internet. Ryan was a good guy, honest and sincere, but with his average looks, where was he going to magically produce a sister who looked like a supermodel? The little schemer had it all figured out. He just wanted a permanent gaming partner for life. Not a chance. The hours flew by as we played, the day turning from morning to dusk. We were sitting on the living room couch, trying to decide where to go for dinner, when the front door slowly swung open. A tall woman walked in. She kicked off her heels and slipped into a pair of flip-flops. The simple black sandals made her small, elegant feet look exceptionally delicate. The silver polish on her toenails sparkled under the light. She walked right up to me and greeted me warmly. Hey, you must be Leo. I'm Chloe. I'm also at a university. I've heard Ryan mention you a lot. Looking up, I saw her smiling eyes and the playful dimples that appeared on her cheeks. I scrambled to my feet and gently shook the delicate hand she offered me, managing to stammer out a reply. Hi, I'm Leo Evans. Maybe it was because I hadn't interacted with many women growing up, but after meeting her gaze for a second, I instinctively lowered my eyes and didn't look at her again. Chloe had a clean, shoulder-length bob. She was tall and slender. If she wore 4-inch heels, she'd be almost as tall as me. Ryan, enjoying the show from the sidelines, noticed my discomfort and let out a chuckle. Leo, dude, you're blushing just from shaking my sister's hand. He blurted out, getting carried away. How are you ever going to be my brother-in-law? After sticking his tongue out at her, Chloe grabbed Ryan by the ear and twisted. Ryan and I are biological siblings, she explained to me. He took our mom's last name, and I took our dad's. A moment later, Ryan was rubbing his red ear, complaining pitifully, my sister inherited all the best traits from our parents, inside and out. I got all the leftovers. Just then, my stomach rumbled, followed immediately by Ryan's. Chloe turned to me. You guys haven't had dinner yet? When I confirmed we hadn't, a small, apologetic smile touched her lips. I can't cook, but a new Korean barbecue place just opened up on a main strip downtown. Want to go check it out together? The downtown restaurant district was buzzing with activity at night. Chloe led us through the bustling crowds, the hem of her white skirt swaying around her knees, her slender legs moving with a light, graceful gait. During dinner, Chloe kept using the serving tongs to place perfectly grilled pieces of meat into my bowl. Ryan fished around in the empty grill with his chopsticks and found nothing. He pouted and asked miserably, Hey, what about me? What am I supposed to eat? Chloe shot him a look. There's lettuce under the meat platter. Isn't there? Go grill some of that. Before we left, Chloe wouldn't let me split the bill, so I bought them both expensive boba teas and stopped by a convenience store to get Ryan a pack of Marlboros. Not long after I got back to my dorm, Ryan sent me Chloe's contact info. His message was a clear betrayal of his sisterly allegiance. Thanks for the smokes, bro-in-law. Keep up the good work and win my sister over soon. I was completely baffled. Why was he in such a rush to find his sister a boyfriend? The next time I saw Chloe was at my advisor's house. On Friday morning, I was leaning back in my chair, headphones on, blissfully listening to music as the warm sunlight streamed through the window and fell over me. I was debating whether to add Chloe on WhatsApp and maybe ask her out for dinner that weekend. As my mind wandered, my phone buzzed with a message from my advisor, Dr. Thorne. He wanted me to bring the other guys from our lab over to his house on Saturday for a department barbecue. On Saturday evening, our group took the bus to Dr. Thorne's neighborhood. After getting off, I led my lab mates to a large supermarket nearby. Leo, I know we're supposed to bring a gift when we're invited to someone's house, but why aren't we bringing something like wine or cigars? Kevin, one of the junior grad students, asked as he jogged up to me, carrying a large gift basket. Dr. Thor doesn't smoke and only drinks a little, but he hates it when students give him gifts like that, I explained. I paused. Dr. Hayes, his wife, hasn't been feeling well, so getting her a nice basket of gourmet health foods is always a safe bet. The other two guys hurried to catch up. Hey, you paid for all this. We should chip in. Yeah, man, that's got to be over $100. It's not like you're made of money. I wave it off. I've worked on a bunch of projects with Dr. Thorne. I've got a little cash to spare. They were persistent, trying to Venmo me the money. Finally, getting annoyed by their nagging, I turned around and put on a serious face. I'm a senior grad student here, so what I say goes. You're not paying. End of story. You guys just focus on your work. When you start winning competitions and getting prize money, I continued, a grin spreading across my face. You can treat your senior to a spa day. A legit one. The guys came from modest backgrounds. I couldn't let them spend hundreds of dollars just because of my idea. The moment we walked into Dr. Thorne's house and he saw what we were carrying, his expression soured. I invited you for dinner, not for you to bring things. Take these back. We paid in cash, I said sheepishly, and I already threw away the receipts. Noticing his eyebrows starting to furrow, I cast a desperate, pleading look toward his wife, Dr. Hayes. Dr. Hayes, the basket is for you, to help you feel better. And now Dr. Thorne is mad at us. There was a soft thud as Dr. Hayes lightly punched her husband in the back. They're being thoughtful, Marcus. Why are you getting upset with them? She chided. You should be helping them publish papers and win awards, setting them up with good jobs after graduation. She then turned to us, a warm smile on her face. Thank you all for the lovely gift, but this is the first and last time. Next time you come for dinner, you're not allowed to bring a thing. The three junior guys went to chat with Dr. Hayes' three female students in the living room. I put on an apron and followed Dr. Hayes into the kitchen to help. Just then, a familiar figure appeared in front of me. Chloe was wearing pink overalls, her short hair tied up into two small, cute buns on either side of her head. She had transformed from a cool, elegant woman into an adorable, sweet girl. Leo, what a coincidence, Chloe said, turning to greet me. A speck of white flour on the tip of her nose made her look extra playful. Leo, Chloe is my top student, Dr. Hayes said. You two should get to know each other better. Dr. Hayes put a tray of burger patties on the counter and then left, leaving just Chloe and me in the kitchen. We stood there, facing each other, making small talk. Let me see how the corn on the cob is doing, Chloe said. As she lifted the lid of the pot, a blast of hot steam billowed out, hitting her arm. She cried out in pain and stumbled backward. Standing right beside her, I shot my arm out, catching her around the waist and steadying her before she could fall. Without a second thought, I grabbed her wrist, turned on the faucet, and ran cold water over the burn on her skin. Leo, thank you, Chloe said, her lips pressed together. A thin sheen of sweat covered her forehead. The shock had clearly rattled her. Seeing how shaken she was, I felt a pang of sympathy. On impulse, I reached out and gently wiped the smudge of flour from the tip of her nose with my fingertip. Chloe immediately looked down, her pale face blushing a deep red. For a moment, the kitchen was completely silent. The only sounds were the bubbling of the water on the stove and the frantic pounding of my own heart. Later that evening, as my lab mates and I were walking home from the barbecue, the bit of beer weed had made us all a little loose-tongued. All right, guys, which one, Dr. Hayes' students did you think was the cutest? One of them started. I thought the one with the long hair was pretty, but her figure was just okay. Kevin said with a sly grin. Their senior student, Chloe, is really beautiful, though. She looked very feminine today. He added, I've seen her around campus a few times. If it weren't for, I think she was a tomboy. A flicker of annoyance ignited in me at his comment. Before I could say anything, a series of cold, sharp laughs came from behind us. Chloe and her friends were not far behind. They had heard every single word. Run. Run now. The guys who hadn't had much to drink scattered in an instant, shamelessly abandoning me in my slightly drunken state. A gentleman doesn't fight with a lady. I had no choice but to stand my ground, ready to take the fall. Chloe told her friend to go on ahead, then walked up to me, a smirk playing on her lips. Your lab mates are pretty observant. Suddenly, my head felt heavy and my legs gave out. I collapsed onto the ground. You should really drink in moderation. You're only making yourself miserable, Chloe said, helping me over to a nearby bench. She gently patted my back as I sat. I took the bottle of water she offered and said guiltily, Chloe, please don't take what Kevin said to heart. He's a good guy, he just runs his mouth sometimes. She turned to me, a playful smile in her eyes. I don't care what other people think. What about you? Do you think I'm a tomboy? Oh no, if I answer this wrong, I'd be sleeping on this bench tonight. I immediately straightened my back and answered with the utmost seriousness. You're tall, you have delicate features, fair skin, a sweet voice. As I praised her, I met her eyes, careful not to let my gaze drift below her neck. I summed it up with one final statement. You, Chloe Reed, are a beautiful, sophisticated 18-year-old woman. Chloe giggled, covering her mouth and lightly slapping my shoulder. You men are all the same. Such sweet little liars. Worried I'd get sick on the bus, Chloe looped her arm through mine and walked me home slowly. The cool night breeze rustled through her long, face-framing bangs, making them dance in the air. The streetlights illuminated her already stunning features, making her look absolutely captivating. I felt a little dazed, as if I were looking at an angel. The words slipped out before I could stop them. Chloe, your profile. It's beautiful. She shot me a glare. If you keep flirting with me, I might just leave you here, you know. Her words were tough, but her actions betrayed her. Her hand held my arm tightly, afraid I would stumble and fall. We walked slowly, so slowly that by the time we reached my dorm, the doors were already locked for the night. Chloe ended up taking me back to her apartment complex. Downstairs, she called Ryan. Ryan's voice came through the phone, dripping with insinuation. Sis, you and your man are already all over each other. Why not just get a hotel? Chloe hung up and smacked Ryan on the head when he came down. We were out to dinner, and Leo had too much to drink. She turned to him. Help him up in the elevator. I'll take the stairs. With that, she let go of my arm and walked into the stairwell. The moment Ryan stepped in front of me, my stomach churned violently. I couldn't hold it back. I threw up all over him. The next second, I blacked out. The next morning, I woke up to find myself in a bed with Ryan. He sighed dramatically. The things I do for your future happy home. I've sacrificed too much. After I had washed up, Chloe placed a bowl of noodles in front of me. It's my first time making this. I have no idea how it tastes, she said, standing nervously to the side, wringing her hands with a mix of anxiety and anticipation. Ryan, sitting next to me, protested, Hey, I haven't had breakfast either. Chloe gave him a flat look. There's a food truck downstairs that sells donuts and coffee. I took a sip of the broth, then a bite of the noodles, and gave Chloe a big thumbs up. The broth is rich, and the noodles are cooked perfectly. It's delicious. Her eyes lit up. If that's not enough, I can make you more. Oh my God. The noodles were a little undercooked, which was fine, but the broth was insanely salty. It was like she'd murdered a salt shaker. After one mouthful, I swear I saw my ancestors. Before I left, Chloe handed me a cloth bag. Inside were my clothes from the night before, which she had already washed and dried. The moment I stepped out of her building, I added her on WhatsApp. Chloe was kind-hearted and beautiful. I had to make my next move, and fast. What if someone else snatch her up? Hey, bro-in-law, why are you smiling like that? Did you take advantage of my sister or something? Ryan asked from the building's entrance, holding a coffee and a donut, looking utterly confused. Without a word, I snatched the coffee from his hand and walked back to campus. Our university science building was scheduled for renovations, so Chloe's research group had to temporarily move their lab into the space right next to ours. This meant seeing her was going to be much more convenient. I started finding all sorts of excuses to pop over to her lab. I'd casually walk by her desk and leave her little treats, sometimes her favorite snacks, other times a fruit cup I'd prepared myself. For some reason, seeing the smile on her face always made my heart feel a little lighter. After our group meeting last week, Dr. Thorne asked me to stay behind. He instructed me to encourage more interaction between our lab and the one next door. His exact words were, between Dr. Hayes and me, we have 8 grad students, and every single one of you is single. What's the plan? Are you all going to join a monastery together after graduation? Finally, he clapped me on the shoulder. You kids could start a group chat, you know? Plan a trip somewhere on a long weekend. You don't want to start your careers and turn beet red every time you have to talk to a colleague of the opposite sex. What a kind, caring old man. Just before the Memorial Day weekend, Chloe gathered everyone from both labs for a meeting. She announced that Dr. Hayes had given her some funding for a group activity, so we could all get out and enjoy the spring weather. The plan we came up with was a trip to a nearby state park for a day and a night of hiking, grilling, and camping. But I noticed Chloe quietly furrow her brow. Something seemed to be troubling her. On the day of the trip, we took a bus to the park early in the morning. Two of the gym addict guys from my lab led the pack, with Kevin joking and laughing alongside Lily, a girl from Chloe's lab with a high ponytail. The other two girls were busy taking photos of the scenery. Carrying the backpack full of barbecue supplies, I fell into step with Chloe at the back of the group. Her mood seemed low, and she was walking with reluctant, shuffling steps. "What's wrong? Are you not feeling well?" I asked, handing her a bottle of pineapple-flavored Gatorade. Chloe took a sip, tucked a stray strand of hair behind her ear, and shook her head. "I'm fine." As we climbed the winding trail, the view of the valley below grew smaller and hazier. About halfway up, I felt a tug on my shirt. Chloe was clutching the fabric, her legs trembling. "Leo, I have a fear of heights," she said, looking up at me, her eyes filled with panic. "I'm so scared." "Okay, how about I take you back down? We can wait for them at the finish point." Chloe bit her lip, hesitating for a moment before saying with difficulty, "The trailhead is too far from the summit now. Besides, everyone was so excited for this trip. I don't want to be the one to ruin it." I pulled a tissue from my pocket, wiped the sweat from her face, and handed her my backpack. "Close your eyes. I'll carry you up. It'll be better on the way down. We can take the cable car." Chloe was hesitant, "But you'll be exhausted." "Last time I was drunk. You're the one who got me home and even washed my clothes," I said, bending down in front of her. Once her arms were securely around my neck, I slowly stood up and began to walk. "Just close your eyes and think of something happy." "Leo." "Thank you," Chloe whispered, her breath warm and fragrant against my cheek. The air around us suddenly seemed sweeter. To keep her mind off her fear, I told her a string of dumb jokes and funny stories. She giggled, her laughter echoing on the trail. The frantic heartbeat I could feel against my back gradually calmed. As we neared the summit, I gently set her down, not wanting the others to get the wrong idea. "Hey, Leo, why are you holding Chloe's hand?" Kevin asked, a mischievous glint in his eye. At his words, everyone's eyes darted between us. "Chloe has low blood sugar. I was just helping her up the last stretch," I said quickly, trying to change the subject. "Let's hurry up and get in line for the cable car, so we can get down for lunch." But when the next cable car arrived, Chloe and I froze. "Come on, you two, get in. There are people waiting behind you," the park employee urged. The cable car was a modern design, constructed entirely of tempered glass. All you had to do was look down to see a panoramic view of the mountains below. The door slid shut, and the car began to move. Chloe, sitting across from me, went limp and slid onto the floor between the seats. "Leo, I'm really scared. I don't want to do this," she whimpered, her face pale and tears welling in her eyes. I stood up and leaned over to help her. But as soon as I got close, she threw her arms around my waist and held on tight. I had no choice but to kneel in front of her. Chloe buried her face in my chest, her shoulders shaking uncontrollably. I took off my jacket and draped it over her. Seeing her so terrified, I acted on instinct, wrapping my arms around her and holding her close. "It's okay, Chloe, you're safe," I whispered. "Close your eyes. Just imagine you're sitting in a field of grass." About 15 minutes later, the cable car smoothly descended to the base station. The moment the doors opened, Chloe stumbled out and collapsed onto the steps, her legs weak from the ordeal. I lifted her onto my back and carried her the rest of the way down. By evening, the rest of the group was sitting on picnic blankets on the lawn, playing card games. I set up the grill by a rocky creek nearby. As I was getting the charcoal lit, Chloe came over with a folding chair and sat down next to me. "Leo, thank you for everything," she said, placing a container of cut fruit on her lap. She picked up a piece of cantaloupe with a small fork and held it to my lips. Was she feeding me? I slowly chewed the melon, savoring the sweet taste as my heart exploded with joy. "Leo, did you buy all this food?" she asked. I scratched my head. "My parents own a barbecue restaurant. I had them ship it over. You should go hang out with the others. The smoke here is pretty thick. I don't want to bother you." Chloe shook her head. "You be all alone here. I'll keep you company." Fat from the skewers dripped onto the hot coals, sizzling and releasing the mouth-watering aroma of grilled meat. I took out a large pita bread I had bought that morning, used scissors to chop up a freshly grilled lamb kebab, and stuffed the meat inside. "You barely ate anything for lunch. Have this to tide you over." Chloe took the kebab sandwich and began eating it in small, delicate bites. By the time all the food was cooked, the glow from the coals cast a warm light on Chloe's face, adding a rosy tint to her fair skin. In that moment, she looked incredibly alluring. She noticed me staring, and she protectively crossed her arms over her chest. "Hey, what are you looking at?" she chided playfully. She picked up a piece of charcoal and drew 2 little whiskers on my face. Caught red-handed, I felt a rush of guilt and scrambled back toward the lawn, shouting for everyone to come get some food. The park was packed with visitors, and I had waited too long to rent the tents. For the 8 of us, I could only get 7 single-person tents. The owner of the rental shop, a kind man, lent me a spare comforter for free. After everyone had settled in for the night, I lay down on a wooden bench with the comforter, figuring I could make it work for one night. Just as I was drifting off to sleep, a hand gently covered my mouth. My eyes snapped open to see Chloe leaning over me. She was wearing a simple white camisole and a pair of shorts, her perfect, athletic figure on full display. "Are you trying to become mosquito food?" she whispered. "Let's share. My tent is big enough." The tent was small. We lay down back to back, using the comforter as a dividing line between us. A faint scent of jasmine filled the small space. Breathing it in, I quickly fell asleep. The next morning, I was woken up by voices just outside the tent. It was Lily. "Kevin, why'd you wake me up so early?" And Kevin's reply, "No reason. I just missed you, babe. When did those two get together?" I tried to lift my arm to rub my eyes, but found that my hands were being held tightly. I opened my eyes, and what I saw was unbelievable. Sometime during the night, Chloe and I had both turned over. We were now face to face, so close I could feel her breath on my lips. She was already awake, her large, gentle eyes gazing at me, filled with a deep affection. Her small hands were intertwined with mine. Chloe's lips parted slightly, and she leaned in to kiss me. I closed my eyes and met her halfway. At breakfast at a nearby diner, Kevin asked curiously, "Hey, Leo, Chloe, how come both of your lips are so swollen?" Lily slapped his shoulder. "Don't ask questions you're not supposed to ask." Hearing that, Chloe's face turned bright red, and she ran off. My own face felt like it was on fire. As the semester drew to a close, besides studying for final exams, I started planning my official confession to Chloe. We'd held hands, we'd cuddled. I was going to do right by her and make it official. One day, an undergraduate student named Sophia Lee came to the lab looking for me. "Leo, could you help me go over the key topics of the exam?" My advisor, Dr. Thorne, was often away at conferences, so I sometimes filled in to teach his undergraduate classes. Sophia stood beside me, leaning over to look at the textbook on my desk. From the corner of my eye, I realized her intentions might not be purely academic. She was wearing an extremely low-cut, V-neck black dress. As she leaned over, she revealed an eyeful of cleavage. I immediately swiveled my chair to face away from her and quickly marked the important sections in the book with a pencil. In the past, I would have definitely taken the opportunity to enjoy the view. But now I had someone I liked, someone who had been so good to me. I couldn't do anything to betray Chloe's trust. After I handed the book to Sophia, she stood with her hands behind her back and started making small talk. "Is grad school much harder than being an undergrad?" "It's manageable." Sophia tucked her hair behind her ear and got straight to the point. "When the pressure gets high, wouldn't it be nice to have a girlfriend to help you relax?" What kind of forward question was that? Was she trying to be an academic femme fatale? I turned my head toward my computer screen and said flatly, "Sophia, I have to work on my paper now. The key topics are marked. You should go study." A little while later, I felt a persistent feeling of being watched. I turned around and saw Chloe standing in the hallway, her hands behind her back. "Chloe, what are you doing here?" Her face was dark. "I saw everything from the doorway," she said coldly. "You and that undergrad, laughing and chatting." She looked me up and down. "She's got a great body, and she's younger than me. Did you enjoy the view?" With that, she threw the bouquet of flowers she was holding into a nearby trash can and turned to leave. "Chloe, wait, let me explain." I hurried to block her path. "Don't you dare call me Chloe," she snapped, and before I could say another word, she raised her hand and slapped me hard across the face. I stood there, stunned, my head ringing. That night, as I was lying in my dorm room, feeling miserable, I got a text from Ryan. "Ryan, hey bro, did you and my sister have a fight?" She came home crying today. Me, she completely misunderstood something, and then she slapped me. "Ryan, does this mean you won't be coming over to play games with me on the weekends anymore?" Me, probably not. "I'm really angry at your sister." Ryan, damn. And she's the only sister I have. No other sisters. And my dad is in perfect health. Touching my still stinging cheek, I had to admit I was furious. I hadn't done anything wrong, yet I was being accused and punished for it. Unless Chloe apologized to me first, there was no way I was going to forgive her. The next morning, a loud argument suddenly erupted from Chloe's lab. Kevin, who had been chatting with Lily next door, ran back with a report. "Leo, your girl is surrounded by like 10 undergrads," he said, out of breath. 2 of their project groups submitted identical work, so she failed both of them for plagiarism. Now they're all ganging up on her. The guy leading them is some blonde dude. Hearing this, I slammed my hand on the table and shot out of my chair. The other 2 guys from my lab got up immediately, shrugging off their jackets to reveal their muscular arms. Each of them grabbed a dumbbell and followed me out. At the door to Chloe's lab, they stopped me. "Leo, man, don't let this mess up your graduation. You talk will be the muscle." With that, one of them kicked the office door open. The sound of the door slamming against the wall silenced the crowd. The once chaotic room fell dead quiet. Kevin, the last one in, closed the door and locked it. "What do you guys want?" The blonde guy stammered, his bravado vanishing as he found himself flanked by 2 gym rats. I walked up to him, took a dumbbell from one of my friends, and tossed it casually in my hand. "So, you're the one who was leading the charge against my friend here?" I asked in a low voice. The blonde guy instinctively took 2 steps back, bumping into a cubicle wall, his legs shaking. "It was a misunderstanding. I was just a little worked up, so I might have raised my voice." What a coward. All bark and no bite. He was already this scared, and we hadn't even done anything. "So," I said coldly, "don't you think you owe her an apology?" The blonde guy immediately spun around and bowed deeply to Chloe. "I'm so sorry," he mumbled. "My attitude was terrible. Please forgive me." Seeing their leader fold, the other students quickly lined up and apologized to Chloe one by one. "All right," she said, her voice steady. "We'll just say your project reports got mixed up by accident. Resubmit a new version later." After the students had left, I glanced at Chloe. Her eyes were red and swollen. She had clearly been crying for a long time. Just then, she looked up and our eyes met. I scoffed and turned to leave the office. "You want me to talk to you?" "Not a chance. Not until you apologize." Still, one thing had nothing to do with the other. No one was allowed to bully my girl. As it happened, today was also our weekly group meeting day. Halfway through the meeting, Dr. Hayes stormed into the conference room, pulling Chloe by the hand. She shot her husband, Dr. Thorne, a death glare. "Marcus Thorne, what kind of values are you teaching your students?" Dr. Thorne looked bewildered. "What's wrong? Why are you so angry?" Dr. Hayes fixed her gaze on me. "Your star student is 2-timing my star student. I'm here to get an explanation." At her words, my lab mates exchanged nervous glances and quickly looked down at the table. Dr. Thorne nodded slowly, then shook his head. "I know Leo's character. I find it very hard to believe he would be involved in something like that." Dr. Hayes twisted her husband's arm. "My student was wrong by your student, and you're still defending him." The atmosphere in the room grew tense, so quiet you could hear a pin drop. Finally, Kevin slowly stood up, opened the photo gallery on his phone, and placed it in front of Dr. Thorne. "Professor, I was there the day they argued," he said. "I was so impressed by Leo that I kind of took a picture." Chloe pointed to the photo, which clearly showed my back turned to Sophia Lee. "How was this different from what I saw?" she asked in disbelief. "I thought Leo was facing her, looking right at her." Kevin explained. "Chloe, he was talking to her with the back of his head the entire time. He didn't see anything." He paused, scratching his head in embarrassment. "Leo's self-control is truly admirable. I, on the other hand, couldn't help but sneak a few peeks." Chloe lowered her head and whispered, "So, I was wrong." After the meeting, Chloe took my hand and led me silently off campus. We had dinner, and then she took me back to her place. I had just sat down on the edge of her bed when she quietly closed the bedroom door. She then picked up a mechanical keyboard from her desk, placed it on the floor at my feet, and knelt down on it. "Leo, I am so sorry. I completely misunderstood you that day." Seeing her perform such a dramatic act of apology shocked me. "You've already apologized, so it's over. Get up," I said, instinctively reaching out to pull her to her feet. Chloe gently shook her head, capturing my hands in hers and guiding them to her neck. "Equality, right? I slapped you, so now you can hit me back." She put her hands behind her back, straightened her posture, and met my gaze, her eyes honest and intense. "You can do whatever you want of me." Seeing that she was determined not to get up, I sighed in resignation, wrapped my arms around her waist, and lifted her into my arms. "Chloe, I really like you," I said softly. "I would never hurt a single hair on your head." Chloe immediately hugged me back, her hands gripping my back tightly as she buried her face in my shoulder. "Leo," she whispered, "I really like you too." With that, she took a step forward, pushing me back onto the bed. Leo, she said, her voice husky. Let me give you my most precious thing as my apology. Just then, Ryan's ill-timed voice came from outside the door. Hey sis, bro-in-law. I'm guessing you two don't want to be parents just yet, right? I can make a run to the pharmacy for you. $100 delivery fee.